Have you always felt like you didn't fit in, even as a child? As if there was something different about you that others couldn't understand? If the answer is yes, this video was made especially for you. Today we're going to uncover why certain people have carried this deep feeling of being different since early on, of not completely belonging to the world around them. You'll discover the specific signs that mark the chosen ones since childhood, that heightened sensitivity that seemed like a burden, the difficulty making superficial friendships, and that constant restlessness that no one around you could explain. I'll reveal why these characteristics aren't flaws, but marks of a greater purpose. In this video, you'll finally understand why you always felt like a stranger in your own family, why you preferred solitude over empty conversations, and why, since you were little, you had perceptions that your peers simply couldn't have. This will completely transform how you view your story. By the end, you'll have clarity about your true role in this world and will reframe every difficult moment from your childhood. You'll realize that what made you feel isolated was actually what was preparing you for something extraordinary. Were you called weird, too sensitive, or different when you were a child? Comment below which of these situations impacted you most. I want to know if you identify with this. And if this theme resonated with you in the first seconds, go ahead and leave your like now and subscribe to the channel, because here you'll find answers to questions you've been carrying for years. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any content. Now let's dive deeply into the 5 unmistakable signs that mark the chosen ones from the earliest years of life, and how to recognize that you were always destined for something greater. Before we talk about the signs, you need to understand what it really means to be a chosen one. I'm not talking about superiority or being better than others, but rather having a specific mission in this life. These are people who came with a different sensitivity, an expanded perception of reality, and a purpose to serve and transform. From very early on, these souls already carry an invisible mark that distinguishes them from others. This feeling of difference isn't your imagination or drama. It's real and has a profound reason. While other children were completely absorbed in games and typical childhood innocence, you already observed the world with different eyes. You perceived things you shouldn't perceive at your age, felt energies you couldn't name, and carried questions that your little friends couldn't even imagine. It was as if you were tuned to a different frequency, capturing information and sensations that went unnoticed by others. The misunderstood loneliness of childhood is one of the most painful marks of the chosen ones. You may have grown up in a loving family, had friends at school, but still felt an inexplicable emptiness. It seemed like no one really understood you, that you were always speaking a language that others didn't completely comprehend. This loneliness didn't come from the absence of people around you, but from the absence of souls who vibrated at the same frequency as yours. And I want you to know now, everything you felt was valid and true. You weren't dramatic, problematic, or difficult, as they may have made you believe throughout your life. Your sensitivity, your depth, and your difference have always been signs that you came for something greater. And every moment of misunderstanding was shaping you for the purpose you came to fulfill. If you're identifying with this so far, comment below, I am different. The 7 signs of the chosen ones in childhood. Sign 1, extreme sensitivity. The first sign that marks the chosen ones since childhood is a sensitivity that goes far beyond normal. You didn't just feel your own emotions intensely, but you captured the emotions of everyone around you as if they were yours. You'd enter an environment and immediately know if there was tension in the air, if someone was sad, or if something was wrong. It was like having an emotional antenna permanently turned on, absorbing everything and everyone, even when you didn't want to. This sensitivity made you cry easily, be deeply affected by sad scenes, or become physically ill in heavy environments. The people around you didn't understand why you were so fragile or too sensitive. And you may have heard these words so many times that you started believing there was something wrong with you. You tried to toughen up, repress what you felt, but it was like trying to put out a fire with your bare hands. What others didn't realize is that this sensitivity was actually a powerful gift. You were developing from early on the ability to read people, environments, and situations with impressive precision. While other children took years to develop emotional intelligence, you were already born with it amplified. This characteristic that seemed like a curse was actually your greatest working tool for the mission you would come to fulfill. Today, looking back, you can understand that every tear shed, every emotion absorbed, and every time you felt too much was preparing you. Your sensitivity isn't weakness, it's concentrated strength. It's power of connection. It's the bridge that allows you to touch souls in a way that ordinary people will never be able to. And if you have this sign, know that your sensitivity is sacred and needs to be honored, not repressed. Sign 2. Difficulty making superficial friendships. While other children made friends easily and were content with simple games, you had an inexplicable difficulty connecting. It wasn't shyness or lack of social skills, it was something deeper. You simply couldn't be interested in shallow conversations and empty relationships. You needed depth, truth, soul connections, and that was practically impossible to find on the school playground. You preferred having one or two true friends over dozens of superficial classmates. Trivial conversations about toys, gossip, or mundane topics bored you deeply. You wanted to talk about life, about feelings, about why things existed, and this scared other children. They found you strange, too intense, too heavy for their age, and you, without quite understanding, started feeling rejected and inadequate for simply being who you were. This difficulty making friendships led you to spend a lot of time alone, and although it was painful, it was also necessary. In solitude, you learned to know yourself deeply, developed your inner strength, and learned that being alone doesn't mean being lonely. You discovered that you preferred your own company to forcing false connections just to feel included. What you didn't know at the time is that this natural selectivity was a protection mechanism of your own soul. You were being preserved from wasting your energy on people who wouldn't add anything to your path. The true and deep friendships you so sought would come in due time, and when they came, they would be intense, transformative, and lasting, exactly the way your soul always needed. Sign 3. Precocious maturity. If you were that child who thought like an adult while still playing with dolls or cars, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You had an emotional and intellectual maturity far beyond your age, understood complex situations, grasped the problems of the adults around you, and often even offered advice or opinions that left people impressed. But this maturity was also a weight you carried alone, because no one your age could keep up with your thoughts. While your classmates were worried about school snacks or what game they'd play at recess, you worried about serious things. You thought about death, about people suffering, about injustices in the world, about existential questions that not even adults usually contemplate. Your parents and teachers didn't know how to deal with this. Some found it cute, others were concerned, but no one really understood the depth of what was going on inside you. This precocious maturity made you feel like an alien among other children. You couldn't get excited about the same things, didn't laugh at the same jokes, didn't care about the same trivialities. You were often excluded from games because you were too serious or because you didn't know how to have fun. The truth is, you did have fun, but in different ways, with deep conversations, with nature observations, with reflections that fed your ancient soul. Today you understand that this maturity wasn't by chance. It was the mark of a soul that has already gone through many experiences in other lives. You brought with you accumulated wisdom, a profound understanding of existence that isn't learned in books or with age. This characteristic prepared you to be a guide, a counselor, someone people seek when they need a higher perspective on life. Sign 4. Strong connection with the spiritual world. From very young, you had experiences you couldn't explain to anyone. Extremely vivid dreams that seemed real, premonitions about things that would still happen, sensations of presence when you were alone in your room, or an intuition so strong that you simply knew things without having any way of knowing. You saw meaningful coincidences all the time and perceived synchronicities that others called chance, but that for you clearly had a greater meaning. This connection with the invisible both scared and fascinated you. There were moments when you were afraid of what you felt or perceived because you had no references or anyone to talk about it with. If you tried telling adults about your strange dreams or about the things you perceived, they'd quickly say it was imagination, that you watched too much television, or simply change the subject. You learned early to keep these experiences to yourself. Many times you wondered if you were going crazy or if there really was something special happening with you. You saw or felt things no one else saw, had inexplicable certainties about people and situations, and your intuition rarely deceived you. When you grew up a little more, you may have tried to rationalize all of this, suppress these perceptions to feel more normal, but they always came back because they were an essential part of who you are. This heightened spiritual connection since childhood isn't madness or overly fertile imagination. It's an open channel with higher dimensions. You came with the ability to access information beyond the physical plane, to communicate with the universe in ways most people need to work years to develop. This gift was given to you because you have a mission that requires this expanded sensitivity, and the more you accept and honor this characteristic, the more powerful you'll become in fulfilling your purpose. Sign 5, attraction to others' suffering. There was something in you that naturally turned toward whoever was suffering. At school, you were that child who approached a little classmate who was crying, who defended whoever was being excluded, who took home injured street animals. You couldn't simply ignore the pain around you. It called to you like a magnet, and you felt a deep need to do something to alleviate others' suffering. This characteristic made you the psychologist of your friends from very early on. But this extreme empathy came at a high price. You absorbed others' pain in such an intense way that it often physically hurt you. When someone close was doing badly, you were also doing badly, as if you carried on your shoulders the weight of others' problems. People started instinctively seeking you out to vent, to ask for advice, and you were always there, listening, welcoming, healing emotional wounds that weren't even yours. The big problem is that no one taught you to protect yourself energetically or establish healthy boundaries. You grew up thinking you had to save everyone, that it was your responsibility to carry others' pain, and this deeply exhausted you over the years. You gave so much of yourself that you forgot to take care of yourself, and you often ended up emotionally drained, exhausted from feeling so much for others. Today, you need to understand that this gift of healing and welcoming is sacred, but needs to be exercised with wisdom. You came to help, yes, to be a channel of healing and transformation for many people, but not to sacrifice yourself in the process. Learning to help without losing yourself, to love without annulling yourself, and to serve while keeping your own energies preserved is an essential part of your journey as a chosen one. Sign 6, rejection of imposed rules and standards. You were that child who questioned everything and didn't simply accept doing things just because. When an adult gave you an order without explaining the reason, you wanted to know why. You needed to understand the logic behind it. Arbitrary rules bothered you deeply because you could see beyond them, saw when they didn't make sense, when they were unfair, or when they simply existed by tradition without any real foundation. This constantly put you in conflict with authority figures. Teachers, parents, and other adults often labeled you as rebellious, stubborn, or problematic. You got warnings at school, were called too questioning, and suffered consequences for not passively accepting everything imposed on you. But the truth is, you weren't being difficult out of malice. You simply had an internal need for authenticity and coherence. You couldn't pretend to agree with something that went against your values or that you perceived to be wrong. This characteristic isolated you even more because you were seen as the black sheep, the one who didn't behave, who didn't follow the line. While other children obeyed without questioning out of fear or simply because they didn't care, you paid the price of being faithful to your inner truth. Many times you felt misunderstood, unjustly punished, and started believing there really was something wrong with you for not being able to just fit in. But look how interesting. This refusal to accept imposed standards without meaning was actually the manifestation of your mission to break outdated structures. Chosen ones come precisely for this, to question systems that no longer serve, to open new paths, to show there's another way to live and be. Your rebellion wasn't a defect, it was the revolutionary seed that needed to be planted early to flourish at the right time. Sign 7, feeling of not belonging. The most striking and perhaps most painful sign of all is this constant feeling of not belonging anywhere. It was as if you had been born into the wrong family, in the wrong city, maybe even on the wrong planet. You looked around and simply didn't see yourself reflected in any of it, didn't identify with the people, with the customs, with the lifestyle everyone led. There was a persistent sensation of being displaced, of being a foreigner in a strange land. You may have had a loving family and still felt you weren't truly understood by them. As if you spoke a language they didn't understand. As if your dreams, your values, and your way of seeing the world were completely alien to the people who raised you. It wasn't lack of love, it was lack of recognition, of deep connection with those who shared the same blood, but didn't share the same essence. This sensation brought with it an inexplicable longing for a home you never knew in this life. It was a nostalgia for something you couldn't name, an emptiness that no person, place, or achievement could fill. You found yourself looking at the sky, at the stars, and feeling you came from somewhere else, that your true home was at some distant point you couldn't reach. This feeling accompanied you like a silent shadow. The truth no one told you is that you really don't belong to this world in the way it's currently structured. You belong to the world you came to help create, to the new reality your mission will help build. This feeling of displacement exists because you're vibrating at a future frequency, seeing possibilities that haven't yet manifested. You're not lost, you're simply ahead. And your greatest challenge is to keep believing in your vision, even when everything around you doesn't yet reflect it. If you had most of these signs, or even all of them, comment below how many signs you recognize in yourself. I want to see how many chosen ones are watching this video right now. Now that you've recognized the signs, you need to understand the deep spiritual reason behind all of this. Chosen ones aren't born different by chance or as punishment. They're born different because they accepted a mission even before incarnating on this physical plane. They're ancient souls who have already gone through many experiences in other lives and who voluntarily chose to return to Earth at a critical moment for humanity. You came with more advanced spiritual equipment because the task you assumed requires these special tools. The preparation for this mission begins since childhood, and that's precisely why you felt different so early. All those moments of loneliness, of misunderstanding and pain, weren't random or unjust. They were part of intensive training for your soul. You needed to develop inner strength, emotional resilience, deep empathy, and spiritual independence before being able to fulfill your purpose. Every challenge was carefully chosen to mold you into the person you needed to become. The loneliness was absolutely necessary on your path because you needed to learn to seek answers within yourself, not outside. If you had fit perfectly into society, you would have been molded by its limiting standards and lost your original essence. The isolation protected you from being programmed by the collective's limiting beliefs and allowed you to keep alive the flame of your inner truth. It was in the silence of solitude that you built the most important connection of your life, the connection with yourself and with the divine. But it's fundamental that you understand one thing. Being chosen doesn't mean being superior to others. It's not about ego. It's not about thinking you're better or more special than the people around you. It's simply about having a different function. Just as in a body there are organs with distinct functions and all are equally important. Humility is essential on this path because the true chosen one serves, doesn't boast. Your difference is a call to service, not a trophy to display. When you don't recognize and don't accept your true nature, a painful journey of self-sabotage begins. Many chosen ones spend decades trying to fit in at any cost, molding themselves according to others' expectations, repressing their gifts and suffocating their essence. You try to be normal, force smiles in situations that empty you, accept relationships and jobs that don't resonate with your soul, all to not be seen as the different one. But this mask comes at a very high price. Repressing your sensitivity, your intuition, and your spiritual gifts is like trying to hold back a dam about to explode. You may even succeed for a while, but the internal pressure keeps building up and eventually manifests in destructive ways. Many chosen ones develop deep depression, chronic anxiety, panic disorder, or even serious physical illnesses because they're living in total misalignment with who they really are. Your body and soul start screaming, asking you to stop betraying yourself. Another devastating consequence is attracting toxic relationships out of simple fear of being alone. Since you've lived your whole life feeling excluded, you may develop a pattern of accepting crumbs of affection, of being content with people who don't value you, just to have the illusion of belonging. You tolerate disrespect, manipulation, and emotional abandonment because you still haven't understood that being alone is infinitely better than being in bad company. You waste precious years in empty connections that drain your energy. And perhaps the most tragic consequence of all is wasting the purpose for which you came. When you deny who you are, you automatically deny your mission, and this creates an existential void impossible to fill with material achievements or temporary pleasures. You can have success in the eyes of the world and still feel your life has no meaning. This is the pain of a soul that knows it came for something greater, but is choosing to live small. Don't let this be your story. How to transform this difference into power. Step 1. Accept your unique nature. The first and most important step is to stop fighting against who you are. Look in the mirror and make peace with the person you see, with all the characteristics that make you different. Accept that you weren't made to be normal, to follow the herd, to live an ordinary life. Your soul hungers for authenticity, for depth, for meaning, and this isn't a defect, it's your greatest wealth. The faster you embrace your uniqueness, the faster your life will start making sense. Stop apologizing for feeling too much, for thinking too much, for being too intense. These characteristics they tried to convince you were excesses are actually your superpowers. Celebrate your sensitivity as the gift of deep connection that it is. Honor your intuition as the sacred compass that guides you. Recognize your depth as the ability to touch souls and transform lives that superficial people will never have. Acceptance doesn't mean you won't suffer anymore, or that everything will magically become perfect. It means you stop feeling wrong for being who you are and start directing your energy to what really matters. It's the difference between fighting against the current and swimming with it. When you accept your nature, you stop wasting energy trying to be someone else and can finally invest that energy in your growth and in fulfilling your mission. Do a powerful exercise now. List all the characteristics people criticized in you throughout your life and reframe each one of them. Too sensitive becomes deeply empathetic. Too quiet becomes observant and reflective. Strange becomes authentic and unique. Change the narrative about yourself and observe how your entire life starts changing too. Step 2. Reframe your past. Go back mentally to all those painful moments from your childhood and adolescence with a new look. Every rejection you suffered, every time you were excluded or misunderstood, every moment you felt alone, now makes sense under a new perspective. You weren't rejected because something was wrong with you. You were protected from being contaminated by energies and influences that didn't serve your purpose. The universe was saving you for something greater. The friendships that didn't work out, the relationships that didn't flourish, the doors that closed in your face, all of this now you can see as divine redirections. Those people weren't for you. Those paths wouldn't take you where you need to go. Every no you received was actually a yes to something better that was still to come. Life wasn't denying you anything. It was sparing you from wasting your time with what wasn't yours. The pain you carried for years was the chisel that sculpted the masterpiece you're becoming. Every tear washed away illusions. Every disappointment taught you discernment. Every difficult moment strengthened your faith and resilience. You were polished through suffering because diamonds only shine after much pressure. Your story of pain is transforming into a story of overcoming that will inspire thousands of other people. Make peace with your past, understanding that everything happened exactly as it should have happened. There's nothing to regret or feel sorry about. Everything was part of your preparation process. Be grateful for every experience, even the most painful ones, because they brought you here to this moment of awakening and recognition. Your past isn't a burden, it's the foundation upon which you'll build your extraordinary future. Step 3. Find your tribe. Now that you've understood who you really are, you need to stop trying to fit in where you don't belong and start actively seeking your true tribe. There are thousands of other chosen souls scattered around the world who feel exactly what you feel, who lived what you lived, and who are waiting to connect with you. But you'll never find them if you keep pretending to be who you're not or frequenting environments that don't resonate with your essence. Look for communities, groups, events, and spaces where awakened people gather. It can be spirituality groups, self-knowledge groups, personal development groups, or even online on social networks and specific platforms. Don't be afraid to expose yourself as you really are in these spaces, because it's precisely your authenticity that will attract the right people. When you vibrate in your truth, you become a lighthouse that attracts compatible souls. Stop forcing connections with people who clearly aren't part of your path. There's nothing wrong with them. They're simply not your tribe, and that's okay. It's better to have few true friends who see and truly value you than to have dozens of superficial acquaintances who empty you. Quality will always be more important than quantity when it comes to relationships for a chosen one. And remember, your tribe also finds you when you're ready. Sometimes loneliness needs to last until you learn all the lessons it has to teach you. When you're truly complete in yourself, when you're no longer seeking completeness outside but rather sharing, that's when deep and true connections will start appearing naturally in your life. Trust in divine timing. Step 4. Develop your gifts consciously. Now it's time to stop ignoring or repressing your gifts and start developing them consciously and intentionally. Your intuition needs to be trained and refined. Your sensitivity needs to be channeled in a healthy way. Your spiritual connection needs to be deepened through consistent practices. You have powerful tools, but they'll only become really efficient if you dedicate time and energy to improving them. Study spirituality, read books, take courses, seek mentors who have walked this path before you. Deepen your knowledge about energy, about universal laws, about how the spiritual dimension works. But don't limit yourself to just theoretical knowledge. Put into practice everything you learn. Meditate daily, do exercises connecting with your intuition, practice energetic cleansing, develop your ability to protect yourself spiritually. Learn to use your sensitivity in your favor and not against you. Understand how to establish healthy energetic boundaries, how to discern what's yours and what belongs to others, how to help people without sacrificing yourself in the process. Transform your gift of feeling deeply into a healing tool, both for yourself and for others. The more you master your gifts, the more powerful and effective you'll become in your mission. And most importantly, practice, practice, practice. Your gifts are like muscles that need to be constantly exercised to strengthen. Use your intuition daily and observe the results, record your perceptions and synchronicities. Work consciously with your abilities until they become second nature. You were born with these presents, but it's up to you to unwrap them and learn to use them with mastery. Step 5. Embrace your mission. The moment has come to stop living on autopilot and start living with purpose. Ask yourself sincerely, how can I use my gifts to serve? What kind of impact did I come to make in this world? What people did I come to help? Your mission doesn't need to be something grandiose like changing the entire world. It can be deeply touching the lives of some specific people. The size of the impact doesn't matter. What matters is that you're aligned with your purpose. Observe where your soul naturally inclines. What kind of suffering touches you most deeply? What kind of transformation would you like to see in the world? Where do you feel you can make a difference? The answers to these questions are clues about your mission. Your purpose is generally connected to what moves you emotionally, to the pains you felt and overcame, to the natural gifts you possess. Start small if necessary, but start. Don't wait to be 100% ready or have all the answers to take the first step. Clarity comes from walking, not from standing still. Maybe your mission is to write and inspire people through words. Maybe it's to work with energy healing. Maybe it's to teach. Maybe it's simply to be a presence of light and love wherever you go. Don't underestimate the power of your conscious presence in the world, and embrace your mission without fear of what others will think or say. There will be criticism. There will be people who won't understand. There will even be those who try to discourage you. But remember, you didn't come to please everyone. You came to fulfill your purpose. The people who need you will recognize and value you. Live your truth with courage and trust that the universe conspired in favor of those who have the courage to follow their calling. Your mission is waiting for you. Now you just need to have the courage to say yes to it. I want you to engrave this in your heart. You were never the problem. Never. All those times they made you feel there was something wrong with you, that you were too difficult, too sensitive, too different. They were simply seeing through limited lenses. They couldn't comprehend your greatness because they were accustomed to mediocrity. You weren't defective. You were too advanced for the environment where you were inserted. Your difference is your greatest gift, not your curse. While most people live on autopilot, repeating unconscious patterns and following the herd, you have the ability to see beyond, to feel beyond, to live beyond. You can access layers of reality that others don't even know exist. You can touch souls at depths that superficial conversations will never reach. You have the power to transform lives simply by being who you are. The world doesn't need more people who are the same, predictable, who fit perfectly into social boxes. The world is desperate for people like you, who dare to be authentic, who bring a different perspective, who have the courage to question the status quo and open new paths. Every chosen one who awakens and takes their place is a light that turns on in the midst of darkness, and the world urgently needs this light. Your journey of loneliness and misunderstanding is coming to an end the moment you decide to completely accept yourself. When you stop seeking external validation and validate yourself internally, when you stop trying to fit in and simply exist in your truth, something magical happens. You finally find peace. And from this inner peace is born the power to accomplish your mission and to attract everything and everyone that are truly yours. As the poet Rumi said, "Stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion." Chanon. If this video touched your soul, if you finally felt seen and understood, leave your like here now. This simple gesture helps the algorithm take this message to more chosen ones who need to hear this. You have no idea how many people are suffering alone, thinking there's something wrong with them. And this video can be the transformation they need. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because here you'll find more deep content about self-knowledge, spirituality, and life purpose. This is a safe space for awakened souls seeking to evolve and fulfill their missions. You're no longer alone on this journey. This community is your tribe. Comment below, which of the 7 signs did you most identify with? Or if you had them all, comment, "I am a chosen one." I want to create a powerful energy chain in the comments where all the chosen ones recognize and support each other. Your story can inspire someone who's reading now. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video with that person. It could be that friend who always felt different, that family member who never fit in, that special person you know has a greater purpose. Be the instrument to bring light to someone's life today. In the next video, I'll talk about how chosen ones deal with relationships and why they attract difficult people. You can't miss it. Gratitude for watching until here. This shows you really are a chosen one. See you in the next video. May the light always be with you.